All right. So after we pull the artifacts out of the field, no matter where it is, if we find something, we pull it back to the lab. And then we go through a process of actually washing all the artifacts so that we can see what we have.
Once the artifacts have been removed from the field, they would go through the next process of being washed before they're cataloged in. The sediment, whatever that's on them.
And in that process, we'll often lose some things. We not lose them physically, but we'll lose them because we realize it's not an artifact or something. Once we actually wash it off, we realize it's not what we thought it was. Or we'll identify even more subtleties that we couldn't identify in the field.
Some occasions where we are sometimes in the field where we think we found a piece of pottery or found a piece of flake or even something that we label as angular debris or something like that, and when we wash it off we can see it better, and sometimes it's not. When we wash them is, dip the toothbrush into the water, and then we gently brush the dirt, the grime, the muck all the way over, and then until pretty much it starts being clean again. And so we would do that for each individual piece of artifact from this one location, and then once we're done with this one location, we'll switch out the water, because then that will limit the contamination between this location and, say, if I go grab another bag in that location. Once it's clean, we would just lay it out on another sheet of paper on a tray with the card on top, and then we'll lay it out to dry, somewhere in the room or on a drying rack.
So we have to make sure all the material actually gets dried out thoroughly. Otherwise we can get mold and things.
Probably we won't wash this piece of bone, since it doesn't look like it will hold up at all if we gently wash it. It's a little small, fragile. Even just a few specks have just came out in my hands alone. So, but we would wash the harder material like the FCR, the flakes, and pottery, if the pottery doesn't have char or anything on that.
Knowing when to wash and when not to wash if there's a residue on something is an important thing to understand too. You just have to be mindful of the materials that you're working with, and some are real fragile and some are not, and some have other bits of information, like he was talking about residues that are cooking residues that adhere to ceramics, which can be really useful in dating, providing a date of when that pot was used exactly.
And that's pretty much